Hey everybody, take these out of my ear. I've been working on my hinges for the Decklid, and ran into an issue attempting to TIG weld cast aluminum. And you guys probably already know what that was. I ruined a set of $300 repop hinges. This is them. Well, this is one of them. I'm not a TIG welder by any means, but I have an Eastwood TIG, and I do pretty good with sheet metal. And then the heavier metal, I've never tried to weld aluminum. This was my first attempt. Probably wasn't the smartest idea to try my first time on a set of $300 hinges, but I figured if I ruin them, I could find someone to maybe just TIG weld them for me. But then the more I started to think about it, I realized I'm just going to try to make a set out of steel. And picked up a piece of 1/2-inch square bar stock, and I picked up these little collars. They're the kind with a set screw. They're used for all different types of applications. I figured I needed something that I could weld to that had a thick wall. And I figured this was probably the way to go. So what I ended up doing, as you can see, they fit perfectly, 2 of them. My square bar is going to be welded to this. It's going to hoop down, and then it's going to go to the mount. So the problem with these Decklid hinges were they came like this. And this arc here was too short. The Decklid hinge needed to be lengthened about 3/4 of an inch. I made the pieces that I needed to make them work. I had this mounted to the Decklid itself and this mounted on the pin, and it left me with about a 3/4 of an inch gap. So I made a template, cut the pieces that I needed out of aluminum. And again, like I said, I attempted to weld it, but I failed. And those things happen, you live and you learn. So what I ended up just coming up with as per an idea was I just used masking tape. I used masking tape to create the void that I need to fill in order to make this hinge work. Goodness. I never have the things I need. That one's pretty bad. This one's good. I need to try to recreate this. It's hard because it doesn't lay flat on the table. At this point, I've got the collars welded. I heated and bent my steel. I have the collars welded, and they're sitting on the car. I don't have the mount for the Decklid, which is essentially just a piece of angle iron, because if you look at the profile of this flat part is a lot longer. So what I'll do is I'll essentially recreate it with this. I am going to have to open up the angle. So this is obviously 90 degrees. This is a bit more. This actually wasn't enough. So the way that they cast them, they didn't cast them correctly. So I'll actually have to go a little larger than this angle is. So I'm going to cut these pieces down so they're easier to manipulate when I heat them up. And I'm going to get these so they're ready to go. And then we'll move to the next step. So let's do that. Yeah. I don't know what my gloves are. I had them, probably in my house. Guess I'll just use some welding gloves. Probably better off anyways. which make my life harder than it should be. So clearly he was on there just selling things, trying to rip people off, I guess. So these portions of the hinge done. Like I had said, I do need to open them up. I still have my template here, which you really can't see all that well. I'll redraw it. I do this a lot when I'm trying to build something. I usually mark it out on my table, and then I can resort back to it as needed. So these are the hinges so far laid out on my table where I had it marked out. They're not exact where I heated them. There's a little bit of difference in the bends, but the main goal is, as long as it has the sweep close to it, the pivot mount is the same and the end mount is the same for these, which I'm not going to touch because they're smoking hot. It's going to go like that, but obviously further back. I left a little bit of extra material on here so I could cut it at an angle like that. Saturday night in the garage, working on my hinges. Hinges, homemade hinges. Pulled them off the car. You can see those collars there. Everything's just tacked together at the moment. Driver's side, passenger side, here. So you can see I've got a small little gusset that I made on the back. I got to adjust the angle of that cut right there. I'm going to work on these little gussets. I have another one here for the driver's side. This one fits a little better. And I'm going to get these welded in. And then what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to add a little bit of a gusset here. Bought brand new gloves the other day that I used when I did my frame horns. I can't find them. I lost them. I literally lose everything. I don't know. I don't know why. All right. Found a pair of gloves. Not the ones I was looking for, but found them. Regardless, I found some gloves. So I got just a little piece of flat bar stock. I don't know what it is. 3/4 of an inch by an 1/8 of an inch. Gonna make some templates for... Template. I say template on my video. The one for my frame horns. And it just sounds funny. So I don't know if it's template or template. I say template. Let's get the welder fired up and get these things going. All right, so what I'm doing at the moment is cleaning up the welds on these hinges. You can see I added some gussets on these hinges, top and bottom. I was planning on adding some gussets on the side I'm not going to do that because I don't want to interfere with the bolt heads or anything for mounting purposes. So I'm going to clean up these welds. I ran out of 030 wire on my machine. I threw some 023 in there or 024, and I just couldn't get good welds on the mild steel because of that. So I'm going to clean up these welds real quick. They're pretty ugly, and go back over it with my 030 wire and see if I can get these welds kind of burned in there a little bit more and clean them up. In these holes. So it's 2, this is 2, 1/8 and 1/4. So it's 2 1/4 inches, so it's 1 1/8. So that's my center line. So 1 1/8 is this point right there, the white point. So that is my center line. All right, so that's there. So this is my center mark. And then extend this down. That's my center line. What I'm gonna do now is start marking where I need to drill my holes. However, it's gonna be difficult to use with these hinges on an angle like this, so just figured it'll just be as easy to do in the vise with a regular drill. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to do both hinges and radius the edges and then get them mounted on the car. So like most people using a GoPro, filming with a GoPro, my battery died. So I'm going to finish up the night with my phone. I'm working on my hinge. This is my passenger side Decklid hinge. I think it got distorted when I was welding it. And I'm just trying to get it twisted back to where it needs to be so it lines up on the deck lid and where it lines up on the pin. So I can get this deck lid mounted with the deck lid hinges and the hardware and get the thing opening and closing. And then I'm trying to get these Decklid hinges or bolts on this one side of the hinge run in to a point where I can make some final adjustments. It's good up top. I got my shims in place, which are just pieces of cardboard. The driver's side hinge is already on, and this Decklid, the passenger side, has to go up about maybe 1/8 of an inch. So I'm gonna grab a wrench. I don't want it to bind when the time comes to finalize it. I just want it to sit where it's supposed to sit without having to force it. All right. Let's try opening the deck lid with the hinges bolted on for the first time. And shut this light off. Bam. I have deck lid hinges bolted on to the deck lid. The deck lid opens and closes. You check my gaps. Feel it rubbing somewhere. I have 2 screws holding up these pieces of sheet metal right here. They're in the rain gutter, but those are hitting the inside lip of the deck lid, and it's causing a little resistance. I'm going to back those out, and I should be good to go. All right, let's see. Make some adjustments here with the camera. Perfect. The gap is a little tight on the driver's side. See, it's a little tight right here. But the deck lid was running high before. I corrected that. So it's flush there. It's flush here. And it follows the contour of the body perfectly. It's sticking out a little bit right here. But all in all, I think it's pretty good. So that's it for me tonight. I got done with the Decklid hinges, which I was really hoping I was going to be able to accomplish. I'm happy with the way they came out. I've never built Decklid hinges before, so that was a learning experience for me. The reason I had to build Decklid hinges is because there's no companies that reproduce Decklid hinges for a 3334. Speedway makes a kit that is a universal kit, but I just didn't want to go that route. It was $110, $115 for the kit plus shipping, and I built these hinges. Granted, I bought the other ones that I destroyed, and they were expensive, but I've worked past that at this point. It's just a lesson learned. I used them as a template, but besides that, I tossed them to the side, and I built these hinges. I probably have $30 into the hinges, and I have a ton of extra half-inch bar stock, which I could potentially use for something else. So hopefully you guys learned something by watching this video. It's bad enough that these cars take so long to build, and they're expensive. But if you can learn something while you're doing it, and you have a passion for it, and you just enjoy the process and embrace it, you get the feeling of the accomplishment of even something so simple like a Decklid hinge. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you again for the support. I hope to meet a lot of people down at Carlisle. I'm really looking forward to it. And that's it. That's it for me for the night. I'm shutting my welding bottle off and I'm going inside. Take care, everyone. Thanks again. See ya. Good night. Bye-bye.